Yo, when I spit bars in a rain, man, I go hard like Santan.
Hello and welcome to another Touchline Gunners podcast. It's your boy Dankoogs on hosting duty again. I'm back. Took a week off where this German fella thought he could run rampant, yeah. But I'm back to lay down the law, yeah. I'm back to lay down the law. There'll be order and decorum in the house. There's none of this good luck, Jonathan type politicking around the issues and whatnot. Yeah, we're here to talk and discuss, and you will be held to account. Yeah, you hear me? You hear me?
This
Yes?
accountant went to into the church of nowhere to come and fight me. No, no church in the wild, my boy. We let's tussle, man. I got both my ops on here because this Sean guy.
I'm gonna put it plainly and simply. I don't even like you anymore, bro. I swear to God, yeah, you used to be my boy, but I swear to God, these last 2 months, yeah, let me catch you. Let me catch you.
I ain't gonna lie. I thought Dr. Leo was gonna jump on this pod as well.
Yeah. Trust all your ops, bro, live and direct.
Man. If you man are unaware, yeah, we've been tussling with this German guy for weeks in that TG chat, man. This guy thinks he's running around like Puck in there, yeah, thinking that he's the top dog, he's the boss, telling people how to argue, telling people what to argue about, yeah.
And the thing
Nah,
is,
man, I won't
the thing
stand
is,
for it.
he's not even local to do all this. Man's running off to Kuala Lumpur, sending messages at 2-3 a.m. in the morning while us respectable gentlemen are asleep, putting their children to bed. This one's trying to throw shots at crazy hours in the morning.
That's the best time to send shots. I can't lie. When I know you dads are asleep. I know Chap's gonna be asleep next half hour. I must start sending some shots this way, man.
Fam, I come open my WhatsApp in the morning and I'm just seeing I've been at 3 times, across different chats as well from this punk. Yeah. So no. I'm not having it, man. I'm not having it. So yeah, Sean and German, as you guys can hear, are on this pod with me. Some minor housekeeping at the top of the pod. TouchlineGunners on all platforms. Make sure you go and give us a follow on that. If you like the content, there will be bonus content out there that you can listen to on the Patreon as well. Patreon.com/TouchlineGunners. £3 a month there for some of that post-match delightful content that you can hear from us after 95% of the games, I want to say. Maybe we might miss a few. We're family men on this podcast, so scheduling conflicts make it difficult sometimes, but for most of the time, you will be getting a post-match at least. And coming up to the summer window as the season is wrapping up, there will be some more scouting pieces on there. And we might finally come around to be doing the TG Court, man, but we need to get that scheduled in for sure. So, guys, we scored 7 goals today. I know neither of you saw that coming, man. Let's be real. We've been struggling for goals in recent weeks. I think we went goalless in 4 of our last 5 games. Leicester being the odd one out. Forwards have been dropping like flies, but the guys found their shooting boots today, man. 7-1 away in Europe. First time a team has ever scored 7 away from home in a knockout tie in the Champions League. So Arsenal were there breaking records today. And I think it was 6 different goal scorers as well, right? All from open play, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, man, it's a nice victory after what I think has been a rough 5 or 6 weeks for the club on the pitch. So yeah, German, you're off mute. So let's get your thoughts on that win today.
I was gonna say rough 5 or 6 weeks. When did we beat Man City? That's 4 weeks ago, brother. So you see how quickly you guys forget, man? That's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
Listen. It's a rough 5 or 6 weeks, man. That Man City was minimal respite. Minimal
That was
respite.
crazy endorphins. Come on, man. That was
Yeah.
crazy endorphins. But yeah, it's definitely been a rough 2-3 weeks, I'd say. Especially off the back of that window finishing. So the Man City one was obviously a big high, but after that, we've had some injuries coming into the team. Martinelli, Havertz. So like we already looked like luck wasn't going in the right direction in that month, and then we didn't obviously reinforce the squad, and then it looked like it was getting worse, and then the results became more stale. So winning this one 7-1, is great. Off the back of I think 3 games without a goal. I think the last 2 games are definitely without a goal. So yeah, very happy with that. I didn't see a 7. I thought we'd scored like 3 today though, I'll be honest. But I didn't see a 7. I thought the game would have been a lot more uncomfortable than it was. I think PSV had some chances, but overall I think we probably could have scored 10 today. So we had chances that we've missed, and they've had some chances that they've missed, and in the end got their goal was a bit of a gift, to be honest. And I think our goals were good quality, all from open play. I think there was some good sequencing in there. I really liked the Calafiori finish and goal. Really liked the Nwaneri goal, of course. I think Trossard and Lewis Skelly did some great work for that goal in particular. I think that's probably the most important goal today. That kind of set the scene and created that distance that we needed. So yeah, overall really happy. First time a team in the Champions League has scored 7 goals in an away KO game. So broke some records today, which is good. And I think this game gives us a platform to not necessarily play everyone in the return fixture. We should be able to manage that game and getting someone like Ethan some rest. Yeah, so yeah, overall really happy. It's almost the perfect result. If not for that Ghanaian in the middle of the park, would have been a perfect result. But yeah, happy.
Yeah, fair play, man. And Sean, same to you, man. What's your thoughts on that W?
Yeah, definitely didn't see that coming. I wasn't overly optimistic before the game based on what we've served up previously. Obviously, I did see, some of the stuff that was being put in the chat about PSV being a team that score loads of goals, but they concede quite a few as well. I mean, and God, these brothers concede quite a few. My God, I don't think I know I saw, I was a bit shocked, because I saw they had gone 58 home games unbeaten. So that's just over 2 years before they lost to go ahead Eagles at home last week. So, but yeah, I mean, these guys are abysmal, bro. They cannot defend. And I think obviously the point was made in the chat. We tend to find it a bit easier in the Champions League because teams do come to play a bit more. And so you saw, especially, I just think the ease with which we got in this game was quite surprising to me, considering this is the last 16 of the Champions League. You would expect stronger resistance. And I think I said in the chat, like, I thought we had harder group games. I'm thinking back to Girona away, Zagreb at home, Shakhtar at home. Those were much more challenging tests than what we saw today. So, and I know PSV knocked out Juve in the last round, but I definitely expected a lot more. So, obviously happy that we got such an emphatic win. Hopefully this builds a bit of confidence. And yeah, we can go and, finish the season strong from here, at least, in my opinion, hopefully.
Yeah, and Sean, you make a point in terms of how open they were and how they defended, right? So this was going to be one of the main discussion points that I wanted to address on this podcast, right? Because me and German, we've been going back and forth.
I've been listening to Sean and I've got some opposition to what he's saying, but like keep going. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we've been going back and forth on this point, right? I think from September, maybe. Right. Even August, when we're talking about the initial, like the amount of threat that the team has, our issues, potentially, and how the team plays, right? Our creativity levels, this and the other. That's been a heated point of contention in the group chat, I think, from the start of the season, where I'm on the side where I feel like we are not creative enough. We don't have enough threat. There's too many games where I feel like we appear quite blunt. And I think today is an example because we started the game against Nottingham Forest, right? Me and Lewis were having a chat there, and he's like, we started well. We don't look like we're gonna score. He's like, who's gonna score? And I'm like, bro, anyone can score. In this match, you just have to get them the chances, right? And I feel like in this game, it kind of showcased that a little bit because everyone was getting a chance on goal, right? And eventually, you saw Calafiori with a quality finish, Ethan with a quality finish, Declan Rice, even the offside goal, and then he followed that up with another sort of rasping shot. Trossard, fantastic finish. Again today, Odegaard bags twice, and then Marino scores as well, right? And I'm just like, nominally, you are always gonna miss your best players. There's no getting around that, right? But fundamentally, you need to be able to still platform your other players to get goal scoring opportunities. And there just seems to be this acceptance that, if a team plays a mid block, it's okay that we're not gonna have that many chances in the game today, right? And you can be very fair to any football side and say some days you're going to have an off day where your attackers aren't on it, you're going to miss the chances. But fundamentally, you minimize those when you create loads of chances that even when your guy is not having a good day at the office, he can still bag one because you gave him 3 or 4 shots on the day, right? And I feel like our system, it's clearly effective in doing so many good things. But there's now this sort of like kryptonite that we've almost developed where we don't seem to have an answer for a team that plays a competent, physical mid block. And, there's the stats going around, the losses, the win percentage against teams that might fit that category, where the evidence just seems quite stark, to support that hypothesis. You know what I'm saying? And so I look at the game today and I say this to say, like, Ethan can bag, Trossard can bag. I'm not going to go and say Marino can bag. I'm not going to push it that far. But I think Odegaard has shown he has scoring potential. He's not been playing well. But for me, I just think fundamentally in some of these games against these teams, we don't do enough to put the main shooters in enough goal scoring opportunities, and that is regardless of who plays. Because for me, whether it's Martinelli, Saka, Ethan, Trossard, our best shooters and our best scorers play in those positions. And for me, Saka, if you give this guy 4 shots a game, he's putting up mad numbers, bro. Like mad numbers. Way more, I think, than what he was necessarily on and getting this season. And that's where I have the most issues because fundamentally I feel like we're shortchanging the team in these areas. So, German, you said you had some retorts to Sean, and I know you got some retorts to me. So I invite you in to speak now.
Okay, I'm going to play this. Okay, I'll reply to you first. So first of all, on the overall point about the threat, and I've said this in September, people are making these conclusions, very final conclusions, in my opinion, off the back of the team not being our first 11. And I said it at the time as well. Saka was the main creator in the team at the time when this conversation first started. Odegaard was out injured, and people were making those assertions. And I was like, let's wait and see how it develops. We've seen that this exact same thing last season where the team started relatively slow. We kept everyone fit, and then the team went on a mad run from sort of December onwards. So I always said, let's see if we can keep everyone fit and how we look in March, April with everyone fit, and how the team, what's the conversation about that threat at that moment in time? Because we have basically the exact same team as last year. We faced mid blocks and deep blocks last year, and we found solutions with them with the personnel that we have available. So it's not like the team is doing something completely or just abstractly different to what they did last year, and it's also not like the personnel is abstractly different last year. It's an availability and form issue at that time for me. And I felt like we've started the last 2 seasons kind of that way. So when we then go into that conversation about someone like Trossard can score, I think his scoring is very inconsistent. Ethan is someone that looks like a consistent scorer, but overall, I don't think. And my point has been, yes, we have threat. Yes, our threat is capped in a way because I think the quality of our attackers doesn't allow us to win some of these games, where I think they do get the ball in good areas, but the way XG works is you actually have to take the shot. So I think a lot of times these guys don't take the shot. This was a theme today again, where we've seen situations they don't take the shot, they don't make the right touch to take the shot. This has happened in the Forest game a couple of times as well. It's just a theme in our game, and I know this happens to other teams as well, but I think this is a very strong theme in our game that we get into good situations and don't necessarily maximize. And I put it down to the quality of our attackers, and my interpretation on that is, okay, if we improve the quality of our attackers outside of Saka, those situations more than likely will turn into better outcomes going forward. And I'm not really. I don't think anything has sort of changed my mind on that. I know people have the fixation with the deep blocks and mid blocks and how we not found solutions for them in some games, but there's also games where we found solutions for them and we haven't converted. When people look at this record against Villa, Newcastle, and I think West Ham, and I don't know if they put Brighton in there now as well because we've had a couple of draws against them, is purposely picking the teams that we've had or struggled with results with. Forest play a deeper mid block. They play one of the most deep mid blocks and more effective deep mid blocks in this league. They're now fourth or third because of this. They played really well this deep mid block last season. We don't have a negative record against them. We tend to win against them, even though we just recently drew with them. There's other examples of teams that deploy this tactic and we still open them up with regularity. So I don't put it down to say it's too deep and mid block. And there's also these games against Villa and Newcastle where I think Newcastle is a good example because there's definitely games where they have pammed us. There's also games we have pammed them. I think just looking at the end result and not taking in the performance that comes with it sometimes, it's just kind of looking at you have a conclusion that you want to reach to, and that result has given you that conclusion, in my opinion. Like I don't necessarily look at it at that. I'm looking at, and we look through the games since the loss against Inter. We've played, I don't know how many games as we played, but we won 16 games, we've drawn 6, and we've lost I think 4. Yeah, so 26 games, I think that is, yeah. And I think apart from the last 2-3 weeks, that is pretty good form considering the fitness and availability of the team. So whilst people are not happy with the threat in this team or maybe the creation in this team, it yields results, and it has yielded results up until recently to a level where you think this is still acceptable. I think the last 2 results back to back are not acceptable, and definitely losing to West Ham is not acceptable. So people make, I think it's a very so this sort of seed has been planted in September, August because people were not happy with the business, and it's just been going through the season. And I think people are looking for a way to support that rhetoric rather than saying actually like yes, Trossard can have and I think Lewis made a good point. Like Trossard can have a game where he has an unbelievable finish, then he'll play next week and he won't get a shot off even though he gets into good positions to shoot. It's not like he has a super consistent application. And I think with all our top players out or top forwards out injured at the moment, this is something that we're going to face. We could face the same scenarios against United on the weekend and score 0 goals that we to tonight. And that's the issue with the team. And whilst I think there are some structural issues in the team, in terms of flexibility necessarily about team selection, like I think in midfield he could be playing Zinchenko in some games just to help us because at the moment the forward line doesn't have enough. I agree with those points, but when people go too far the other way, I have to dispute it and I have to challenge it. Because I think people going too far the other way too quickly, and they've been doing this all season and it hasn't really stopped because the team shut them up. And don't necessarily think that you fully on the other side, Cougs, but it has been the case since October when people have made these assertions and they're not necessarily correct throughout the whole of the season, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, fair play. Sean, I'll let you come in before I respond to German as well. Yeah, to
Yeah,
and speak on that topic.
Yeah, I think German makes good points. Although where I would counteract is that I've always had these opinions, even when everyone's fit. So it's not a case of people being out that's altered my viewpoint. You know, I think some of the issues we face currently, you could say that we faced when you know, we were facing certain teams last year, and we picked out some of these issues. So fundamentally, when you watch Arsenal, right, we like to break open the games for our wingers. And obviously that is where, you know, you've seen a theme of how we sometimes attack through half space crosses. Some, you know, maybe if Ben White's there, the overlap for the cutback. So there's been a consistent theme of sometimes how we've scored goals. So where I sometimes get frustrated in some of these games is that I think there's been a lack of variety, and that's where I think we need to diversify our approach, and that's what gets me frustrated. So I understand what German says when he says, oh, you could see how with maintaining this current structure with improved personnel, it will get better. I totally agree. Like fundamentally, if you're going to rely on this, I think you need peak attackers because they carry the brunt of the creative and the goal scoring potential. I think for me, I would like to see us even up that balance a bit more. I've always said I think I'd like to see a bit more creative responsibility for the midfielders, because whilst I understand that the forwards are missing, I don't think that should hamper your ability to create better and consistently. So like for example, all our midfielders are available, but I wouldn't, you know, today was a good example. Today was good. Like we created loads of chances, but I'd like to see that on a more consistent basis. So I think that's partly down to how the manager has chosen to recruit, you know, through some of the personnel he's chosen to acquire in midfield. And it's also a quality issue, to German's point. So I do agree from a quality standpoint, we need more to increase the overall threat levels. But I do also think the manager could adapt a bit more. I think, interestingly, we've seen the last few games Zinchenko come on in centre mid, not actually inverting, but in actual centre mid. And I think that's a solution I actually would have liked to have seen a while back, because, you know, and Dr. Lee tweeted that, you know, I could potentially see something like a Rice, Zinny, Odegaard having, you know, some decent potential, or you could substitute at Zinny and have Miles Lewis Skelly in there. Do you know what I mean? So those sorts of options when I'm talking about increasing the overall threat level, you know, having more lock pickers, having better ball carriers. You know, we talk about how Miles can carry the ball through central areas. So that's kind of what I'm saying. So it's not just a case of improving the overall quality of personnel up top, which I think is 100% a necessity. I also think the manager could make better solution choices through what he decides to pick in midfield, because a lot of it I think has been based on picking strong, combative midfields. You know, the left centre mid role, we know is a box crashing role, but I think you could still have that as a box crashing role, but also a bit more build up or creative or dribbling, whatever you want to say, but just give that role a bit more responsibility in terms of rather than
I don't
just
think
box
that role
crashing, in
needs
my
to build
opinion.
up responsibility. But I get
No, sorry.
like-
I beg your pardon. I'll take out build out responsibility, but more like the ability to pick the ball up in the half space, maybe create an action for himself via dribbling, carrying, maybe a combination. Do you get what I mean?
A bit more creative responsibility.
A bit more
I
creative.
think.
So obviously, because I understand the build up responsibility in this setup currently is for the left back who inverts next to the defensive midfielder, right? We all understand that's who's got the build-up responsibility. So whether it's Miles, Calafiori, Zinny, whoever's playing at left back, we understand that's the build-up role. Where could we tweak that left centre mid role a bit more? So yes, maintain the box crashing, but also add a bit more in terms of actual quality on the ball. Because I come back to Xhaka, who obviously I was never a big fan of. Xhaka was box crashing, but I also think still he added a bit more quality on the ball just generally in the final third. So that's where I think, to German's point, you know, because German, we've spoken about Carney, for example, just using him as an example, someone who can carry the ball through those sort of different zones and those sort of different areas. So an option like that, it doesn't necessarily have to be a pure creative option like an Odegaard. It could be someone who counterbalances him by being, you know, more of a carrier. And we've seen Rice do it to an extent at certain times, but I still don't think he's a natural in that role. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking
I
about.
wouldn't want the pure creative option there. I think it's
I hear you.
It's a balance. It's
So
someone who,
for example,
someone who can
like,
contribute
maybe
in
like
the final third,
a
right?
Jude Bellingham, for example, right? If I use that sort of that prototype, because he's not what I'd classify as a creator, but Jude affects games in the final third by his ability to carry and combine. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that, and I think people want someone that is a bit more techie in that role, because I think, and sorry to butt in Cooks, but I think philosophically, this is where people just disagree with Arteta's vision for the team, because clearly, and I also think if you look at the facts, Rice is actually fantastic in that box to box role. He's legit fantastic in that role. Again, he was one of the best players today. Again, he was a threat on goal. He was good defensively. So I know people want this possessed left 8, but Rice is fantastic in his role. So when people then like looking at him, why does he want a 6? And for me, it makes sense why he won a 6. There's 2 6s leaving, and Rice can play 6, sure, but we should be signing a 6, and we should be signing maybe a midfielder that can play that left 8 as well. So Rice is gonna play there, bro.
Yeah, so this is my thing, German, right? So I think it's different roles for different games, right? So for me, the games where I think Rice excels like superbly in that position is often the big games where there's a bit more space midfield. They're not going to be doing the deep mid block stuff today. Rice, I thought, was superb today, right? And how the PSV set up, they set up open. There was space for him to run into, space for him to move, space for him to get his shots off at the edge of the box. If he's receiving, he's not got 3 men around him immediately. Do you get what I mean? He's got space to maneuver because he's not, the most fluid of movers on or off the ball, right? And so my thing is, I just feel that the signings, and this is where I do agree with you, right? The team, the player quality will make an obvious difference for me, because fundamentally, I don't think we've got necessarily the right players for every scenario that we come against, right? So if we're specifically talking about that scenario where I think we struggle versus these, so really super compact teams, Martinelli's not the winger that you need. He absolutely isn't, right? And I don't think Declan Rice is the left centre mid that you need either. And for me, again, I don't think Kai Havertz is the striker that you need in those scenarios, right? Like if you're talking about what we need elite technicians, I think, in those 3 positions with specific skills in close control, 1v1 dribbling when you're talking about your winger and probably your striker as well. And probably, I think Havertz is quite good in that with the box dominance where, if a chance is falling, you physically can contest and maybe strike, but he doesn't probably have that finishing ability so that if something does drop down in the box, he's not really one there to put it away unless it's maybe in the air or maybe first time finish, right? And then when you're talking about someone like Declan Rice, can you receive on the half turn, X someone out with your first touch, or X someone out off the dribble to combine this, that, and the other, right? So, and I think that's where, so when we're talking about the midfielders that we're signing, if you want to talk about, all right, we're bringing a Zubimendi, then I'm saying I need someone that then has attributes and tools that we don't have in the other midfielders so that we have all the keys to be able to unlock a defense. If you bring a Kimmich, I don't want that same kind of redundancy in bringing a Zubimendi as well. I want someone who has something a bit different so that we've got, to your point, playing someone like Zinchenko in there gives you something completely different to what you get from Declan Rice because of what he can do on the ball, how he can receive, the angles he can receive on, the passes that he can play, right? So that's my vision where I'm not necessarily disagreeing with what Arteta sees, but what I do disagree with is the players that he's purchased to complete that role, because I'm sorry, Kai Havertz in the left centre mid, he can do the box crashing, but on the ball, we're getting basically nothing from him, right?
This is where I disagree, because I don't think we need 3 elite technicians. I think we need 2. That's exactly my point. We need two. We need that wide forwards to be on the level of Saka and be a threat 1v1 and actually get past this man 1v1 but either side. I think Martinelli at the moment, if he gets past someone, it's only on the outside. He doesn't get past on the inside to get a shot off. That completely shuts off that angle. He can cross on it, but he can't shoot on it. And then you need a forwards that is either a physical nuisance or very good technically. So ideally both together. So if you then do that, that opens up a complete different ball game for this football team. This is it in my point. And people are then, I would say that if you have this technical left 8 there, you know, that player is coming to feet. That player should be in the box, which is where I see that left 8 role for Havertz or Marino or even Rice getting even more space, because the forwards are going to occupy the defense even more. They're going to be a greater threat. There's going to be more space to exploit for that free roaming midfielder, and that player should be a physical player that goes up and down and exploits space. So I think it's 2 rather than 3. And again, I think there's not a wrong or right. It's just an interpretation.
Yeah, and I think it's me just wanting all the tools available, right? So that, say we do sign the technical left winger, they're not going to be able to play every game, right?
Yes,
or
that's what I said, Carney. There should still be other tools in our.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I'm talking about, right? What profiles are we missing in this team? Let's add them all this summer, and it doesn't have to be.
I don't disagree, but I'm saying that some of the profiles are correct. We've signed for scenarios that we are going to be facing, and once we up the quality of the striker and the left winger, that left 8, people won't say, "Oh, this is redundant." We've seen it with Xhaka. When the team had more space, this player had so much.
Xhaka receives on the half turn better than any of the players that we play on the left centre mid right now. Any of them.
We were talking about receiving, but I'm saying this player had so much time and space, and he could run anywhere. And if anything, if you look him back, he could have scored way more goals. Way more goals. If you're keeping it a stack. In that team, he could have scored way more goals. And he was scoring goals when we were winning 3 and 4. He wasn't scoring many important goals. Marino and Havertz have already scored more important goals than this guy.
Yeah, but look,
that's the truth.
Listen, let me tell you right now, yeah. Let me tell you right now. Marino is ass, man.
Hey, I'm finished.
But you know what? That was a good tussle, man. Good debate, man. Yeah, good debate. Let's actually talk about the game, because we did score 7 goals today, and there's a few performances that I do want to talk about. I'll start with the captain, Martin Odegaard, right? Because for me, this was very much a game of 2 halves for this guy. I got people on Twitter trying to clap back at me because I put a tweet out at half time that Odegaard was shaming himself and his family. Yeah.
Let me find this tweet right now, man.
Delete the tweet, bro.
No, I don't care, man. I don't care. The time is there. When I said it, he was shaming himself and his family, bro. So, but second half, he popped up with 2 goals. I think the first one was good work by Ethan down the right-hand side. Keeper parried it. Very similar to what they did in the first half against us, with Raya parrying it into the middle of the box, but their player was unable to sort of find the back of the net. Gabriel, sort of did well to get across to him. They ended up hitting the bar, and but this time Odegaard was able to find the corner. Funny picture online where, as before he's shooting, Rice is pointing at the goal like he needed.
Bro needed that advice. Bro needed that consultancy.
Bro, they all needed it, bro. 100.
Telling them where to shoot. And then the second one, what was the second one? It was a shot.
It was like
shot from the right.
Bro, he basically carried it unchallenged, and then took a shot from just outside the box, and it was straight at the keeper. Really, he should have saved it, but.
The one the keeper flapped. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. And then he gets a very nice assist for Calafiori's goal as well. Little outside the boot pass into Calafiori's path with a very good finish, man. So this guy, has had just a complete mixed bag of a season, man. And that's putting it kindly, I think. So, Sean, I'll come to you, man. Talk to us about Odegaard. Like, what's going on with him, man? Because
Hey, bro,
second half shows us what he's capable of, but
I actually thought he started the game quite well. First 10-15, he looked quite sharp. He was moving well, popping it about. Then he just got hella sloppy. Hella, like, what I really didn't like that he was doing in the first half, he was dwelling on the ball for too long. I'm just like, just play the pass. Like, it was almost like carrying the ball to Ethan and then releasing it last minute, or just getting dispossessed. So it was really, really frustrating. And then he legit also got dispossessed a couple of times that led to PSV chances as well. So I'm like, my guy, come on. Like, him and Partey, I thought they were massively culpable in the first half of a game which was dead and buried. They decided to reignite for no reason. So I was fuming. So it was right that I know Arteta must have spoken to him and said, listen, I'm going to deport you and your babes and the children back to Norway if you don't come correct, bro. So yeah, so he came out second half. He was a lot more he was just sharper. His movements were sharper. He was more decisive in terms of his decision making. So and obviously he crashed the box well to get his goal. And then he showed a bit more purpose. So that was what, and he has been, listen, I don't think anyone's going to sit here and defend Odegaard this season. He's been poor, just outright flat and poor. But I will give him grace because I think for the most part, he's been very, very good throughout his Arsenal career. But there's no getting away from it that he hasn't been good. And he was one of the guys when, you know, all of the forwards are injured, Saka especially out, like we needed him to step up. So I'm hoping, like, you know, I know, what's it now? That baby is probably like 6-7 months now. I hope he sleep trained that baby. So you and your missus, you're getting better sleep now. So my guys, time to start rising it from now to the end of the season. I know, listen, we're going to be playing one of the Madrid teams. If it's Real Madrid, you need to get your get back after the way they treated you. So my guy, I'm going to need you to rise it from now until the end of the season. So much better second half, very much a Jekyll and Hyde performance. But, you know, if we're to do anything this season, he's going to be a key part. So good on him for rising it and rise it again at Old Trafford on Sunday, my guy.
yeah, for real, man. He needs to show out there because he needs to make up for the FA Cup game where he missed the penalty.
Forgot that. He needs to back this weekend.
Man.
He needs to
so, yeah, German weekend. Man. Yeah, what? How do you sort of explain this season from Odegaard? To be honest, because it has not been good, man.
I think definitely it's not been good, but I think it's also been exasperated how bad it's been. And I think it's to do with the general feel of people feeling about this team and they're looking to him every game. And, you know, at this moment in time, people are not happy with performances. Before the City game, people weren't happy with performances. But it was yielding results. We were grinding our games. And I think he's definitely not been at the level that he was at last season. But I think it's to do with that right-hand side overall. I think that the cam on that side is not what it was last year. Ben White overlapping, passing it to Saka, combining with Saka. And I think in the last couple of weeks, it's been bad for sure. But before that, it wasn't this bad. And I think I don't like putting it all together and saying it's just been poor because, you know, I think we got to be a bit more detailed on it. I think there have been poor games, especially in recent weeks. I think if anything, it's been worse in recent weeks. But before that, I think when he first came in, it looked like he was ready to play. He looked great in the Sporting game. There were a couple games throughout December where I thought he was good. But overall, yeah, I think with him, it's the cam on the right hand side, and there's definitely a lot of. It's just not automatic. Before, his actions were very automatic. Knowing where players are doing things 1 and 2 touch. I think a good point Sean has made is the dwelling on the ball. The questioning if I should pass this or pass that. It wasn't like that. It was all very fluid with him before. And I've said this before about him. I think he's a rhythm player. And when he first came in, he struggled with the physicality of the league. He had some great games, but he also had some poor games in this first initial spell. And I was like, he's a rhythm player. As soon as you disrupt his rhythm early on in games, at that beginning period, he really would struggle to have a good performance. And I don't think his rhythm has been disrupted by people clamping him or anything like that. I just think he hasn't found his rhythm. and he's been struggling. And then it just looks like he's turning and facing in different directions, and he needs to find his rhythm. When he finds his rhythm, he's very good, and he kind of found it in the second half. He just started playing quicker. Um, so yeah, I think it's to do with the cam on that side in general, and the overall sort of attacking chemistry. In the last 18 months, he's played with Jesus, Havertz, Saka, White, mainly those four players. Those last 6-8 weeks, you know, it's been Havertz, and that's it. That's the only consistent, and even that one is gone now. So I don't really want to make excuses for him. It's just I think that's what I put it down to. And I also think he's not a playmaker that looks to force the issue. So he ends up just like looking at an opportunity, it's not really quite there, turning it away. Looking at another opportunity, it's not really quite there, turning it away. And before you know it, he's taken 5 touches and the ball has to go backwards. So for him, it's just he needs to force the attackers into actions with his passes, in my opinion. It's something that Calafiori, for example, did with his pass to Trossard. Don't even let Trossard think about touching the fucking ball. You need to shoot this first time if you get near this. So that's what Odegaard that's what Odegaard needs to start doing. Like, I'm putting this on the plate for you. Don't even think about touching it. You need to finish this first time, or you need to cross this first time, or you need to run onto it. It needs to be I don't want him to. I don't like players that are forceful and play the numbers like a Bruno, but he needs to force the actions of attackers, make up their mind. That's what
make the decision for them, innit?
yeah, that's what Ozil used to do so well. He would play a pass that you don't even think about what to do. It's clear what you have to do. So
we did that for Calafiori for that goal.
he did, he did, and he needs to do, exactly. That's a good example. He did that for Calafiori's goal. Calafiori did it for Trossard's goal. If we have, and this is what I call incisive passing, not just playing it through the lines. That's not This type of pass is captured in the same way on the stats sheet as a pass that goes through the lines and someone takes a shot or something. Like, what are you actually making your teammate do with the pass? What can your teammate do with the pass? And he needs to allow his teammates to do something with the passes that he gives them now. So yeah.
The thing as well, I think, probably to the point that you have made there, German, is that because Odegaard is not the guy to force the pass, he really buzzes off the runs and the off the ball movement that people make for him. And then with
both Ethan and Timber don't really make runs like that.
It's not even just that, right? I think just the whole season, Ben White has not been available, who's normally super up and down in that zone. I think Havertz clearly is cooked physically when it comes to sort of making them repeat runs in behind. He's not really been that guy. And then when we've had Martinelli playing on that right hand side, he's not even really been sort of that much of a mover in behind either, right? So I do think that the lack of dynamism in that front line has not helped this season for a player with the profile of Odegaard. But, that is probably as far as I'm willing to go with sort of being fair to him, because I do agree that he needs to do a bit more with the touches and the opportunities that he has been getting. Couple of other individual performances, right? I do want to quickly touch on Miles, who had a brief cameo today. Started the game, gets a yellow card, gets an assist, almost gets another yellow card, then he's off the pitch. Anything that we want to read into there? Because obviously his last appearance, he gets sent off rightly or wrongly, whether he thinks a foul from Kudus on him, this, that, and the other. It seems like he's letting his youthful exuberance get the better of him. I would say,
bruh, he was so lucky, because bro, he should have been sent off. If we're keeping it a buck, bro. The second challenge was even a lot worse than the first, bro. It's not even like he was so late, bro. Like you weren't close to winning that ball at all. So yeah, he got lucky. I don't know if it is youthful exuberance or if it's just a bit of an experience. It's probably a combination of all of the above. And I think it was the right decision by Arteta. I think, you saw with Calafiori against Nottingham Forest as well, like at the moment, it's like our left backs are doing to me to you for who wants to get sent off. So it's kind of just not taking the risk. We played enough games with 10 men. We don't need to play enough games with 10 men. We're 3-0 up. You don't need to take any unnecessary risk. Get him off, obviously. And he'll probably start again at the weekend away to Man United, probably. But he will learn from it. These things happen. And probably it's times like this that you look at him and then you realize again that this is a midfielder playing at left back, and occasionally you'll see that it's a midfielder playing at left back. Do you know what I mean? So, but he'll learn. It's not nothing to be worried about. But yeah, he's trod the tightrope a couple times with that, and he probably just needs to learn when to take risks and when not to take risks. But again, it's something that will come with more experience and more games.
I think he's been a bit unlucky though. I can't lie. I think both of the red cards are not red cards.
Oh, of course, yeah. We're talking. Which one? Wait. No, the Wolves one, obviously, we know that was ridiculous.
The West Ham one, I don't think it's a red card. How can it be a red when my man did that to him before? I don't really think it's a red.
Obviously, we see that, but yeah. So I never saw that at the time, obviously, but still, he got dispossessed and he grabbed my man, and it is what it is. So I don't personally, I didn't really have an issue with that decision as much.
I get that. I mean, I just find it. I think it's so different what people class as a red. Like people will say, "Oh, that Skelly one is a red," then they will argue with you and say Gordon is not a red when Gordon was punched man in the face, basically.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I agree. I think it's probably it is a bit of like he's a physical player. He's very strong. Like he typically wins his duels, and I think he prides himself on not losing any duels. So I think he's gonna play. He's gonna have to learn to manage that a little bit. Because it's part of what makes him really good. Is also part that could cost him in some games. So I think that second challenge, you don't need to be going to the ground there at all. Like that's just not necessary. I think we were talking about it so much. Because it doesn't usually happen to Arsenal. Like you'd see an Arsenal player get sent off straight away from that for that. But I've seen this actually plenty of time this season where Konate was on a yellow card, pulling man back at the halfway line, not getting sent off. So we do see referees not trying to send people off. It just doesn't seem to happen to us much often. So I didn't want to take any gambles with that, and took him off before even half time. I hope he does still play against United. I think it would be, I just don't think it'd be a great continuation of him coming off after 30 minutes and then being on the bench for that game, probably for the full 90. It would be great to see him start, but he needs to repay the manager's faith and manage that game properly and don't get no silly yellow cards, basically. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I just seen a graphic on Twitter, where it's like ball progression for the team, and Martin Odegaard by far and away in the top and right corner, right, by both passing and carrying there. And this was just the last player that I did. Well, actually, one of the last players that I wanted to mention, because there's a couple of others where Thomas Partey, this guy is on a negative passing score in terms of progression from this guy. Yeah, so I don't know what that means exactly, but I'm going to say that his passing was a net negative for the team in this match. Yeah, and then his carrying less than 0.5. Where
I was going to say he didn't carry nothing.
Where Odegaard is at 2 for contrast, right? Ethan above 0.5, Rice at 0.5, etc. Right? This guy, the only person who was worse for us in progressing the ball was Mikel Merino, who was playing up
Up
top.
front. So
Yeah.
You know,
makes
progress
sense.
the ball up top, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fam, this guy, not only does he give away that ridiculous pen, that I've almost blocked that from my memory, but that is nonsense. Number one, I don't know what he's playing at, doing that random JBL clothesline from hell to Luke De Jong in the box. But on the ball, this guy is supposed to be there to provide this ball progression, these line breaking passes that we have seen him do seasons past. I'm not seeing any of that anymore. I haven't for a long time this season. And then off the ball, this guy he just collapses straight into the back line, invites their midfield onto us on the edge of the box to take shots, find passes. He's given us nothing, man. Like, I do not understand what this guy's contribution is to the team at this stage, man. He just pisses me off when I watch him.
Same. I've been. To be fair, I think us three been in agreement about that, but we've had pushback over the course of the season. All season, I've been saying I've not liked what I've seen from Partey. Like, he'll give people 30 minutes and like, yeah, Partey was good. No, he wasn't. He's been bad all season, man. He's actually been bad all season, and you know, I try to be quite fair on the players. I try to be quite fair on the players, but I've had it up. With him, I'm done, man. He makes me lose it. I see everyone trying to sprint back, sprint up to get the line up, and it's always him jogging. Why are you jogging? Why? Don't you know how to run? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't think I've seen him sprint in over 365 days. That's fucking crazy. He's a professional footballer defending transitions, and I don't see you sprint. How is this possible?
I always think it's quite interesting, and it shows to see like what people value, I guess, because like I've always said, I think like Busquets has done a number on like how people view like defensive midfielders. Like, if you're not Busquets now, people really like take a down look at you. But I always find when I watch, like, people value, like, you know, when Partey's at his best, you know, drop a little shoulder, a little jinky, a little line breaking pass. Like, people put so much emphasis on that. Like, when they forget that this brother's still a defensive midfielder, bro. Your job is also to stop attacks, and he is pretty much a traffic cone when we're defending transition. He's a non-entity, and I've spoken since last season about his ability to drop into the back line that creates such big distances. And I've always found whenever Partey plays, Rice has to do so many long busting runs to get back to bail out that brother's ass. Like, all the time. I cannot stand him, bro. Like, I actually just cannot stand it. Like, so, and I think it's annoying that people can't see that. But because he will play a line breaking pass, people Ray Charles, like, his inability to do stuff. Like, I think to the point, if we do get, for example, Real Madrid in the quarterfinals, I think Leroy made the point. I do not want to see Partey playing 6, because I'm telling you, Jude Bellingham is going to take that brother for a dog walk, bro. It's going to look awful. Like, in transition against that front four, we're going to be in big trouble. So yeah, I think people have over-indexed the good stuff he does for a long while, whilst really Ray Charles in the fact that he can't defend. Like, the brother's got no PMP. Like, you know,
He's cold, man.
He's I mean, it's because he's 50. You know, the brother's lied about.
You see that image when he was talking about me as a kid? We're looking at the 1950s, my boy. What the fuck is going on in this picture?
Hey, bro, that picture is so old, bro. Hey, bro.
The thing is, he doesn't even do nice things on the ball no more. That's the crazy thing.
That's it. What you're giving us on the ball isn't enough to offset the fact that you're a defensive liability now. Like, and I'm really tired of it. So yeah, I cannot wait.
I think what he's given us on the ball is actually diabolical, bro. Like, I'm not even bantering, because this is the stuff that people say, oh, Rice does on the ball, where you receive it off the centre back, standing next to the centre back, to then pass it to the right back, receive it back, you pass to the other centre back. Like, bro, like, what are you adding? Like, the thing is, I know, German, you say you didn't watch the West Ham game, but the actual performance of the team in the West Ham game versus the Forest game, with Jorginho in there versus Partey, it was chalk and cheese. Chalk and cheese. And this is the guy who is supposed to be our deep line playmaker. We're just actually getting none of that. So yeah, I can't wait to see the back of this guy, and I don't really understand why the manager keeps playing him. To be honest, in this current iteration, I think there are some reasons. I know Jorginho is apparently having some back issues, and I think if Rice plays 6, I'm not sure we've got anyone to play in that left centre mid that the manager trusts fully yet. So I do sort of see there are some mitigating factors, but yeah, I'm not going to lie, man. I need this guy out the team. If we do end up playing Madrid, this guy cannot play. He cannot play because he will cost us the game.
Jorginho will play. I think Jorginho will play United, which is why Partey played today. Yeah, Jorginho would play, I reckon. Jorginho or Rice.
Nasty work, man. Nasty work. So yeah, last performance that I did want to touch on before we get on to listeners' questions is just Ethan Nwaneri, right? So
that kid different.
He's peak, man. He's absolutely peak. I'm sorry, like the finish. I said it in the group. My cat was sitting on my wife. Me and my wife watching the match together. She sat next to me. The cat is sat on her lap. Yeah, chilling. The sound that my voice made when the goal went in, the cat had to run to the next room, bro. He's like, "What's going on here? I don't know what's happening." But honestly, that goal was nuts. Like when you watch the replay,
Your cat called Zouma in the room.
I'm cooked, bro. I'm cooked. Hey.
Oh my goodness, yeah, but the ball striking is absolutely fake. The dribble for the Odegaard goal, he had is there an echo? I can hear an echo. I think the dribble he had for the Odegaard goal, he absolutely blammed Malacia out of his socks. In the last 2 games against Forest and West Ham, it's 12 dribbles that he's completed in these matches playing on the right wing, against grown men, age 17, I think 3rd youngest goal scorer now in the Champions League in history. I think it's Jude Bellingham and I can't remember the other one who are ahead of him.
Probably Bojan, Anna. That's a Barcelona
Bojan, yeah. I think you're right. So this guy, he's putting himself up there with top players. At their Bojan his career probably ended up not going the way that he wanted, but that was a highly touted youngster. So I think this kid is looking like a phenom, and he's looking unbelievable. I just don't have enough adjectives to describe this guy, man. So, yeah, German, talk to us about Ethan.
Yes, it's very unusual what we're seeing, to be honest. Very unusual. To be fair, both Miles and him, but him even more peak than Miles because he legit decides games, and he's already, how do I say? He's got that kind of consistency of getting this game off. Like even against Forest, he was just like, if you looked at the stats, he completed like 4 out of 6 dribbles, 90% pass accuracy, 1 or 2 key passes. He'll give you that basically every game, and near enough every game you've seen so far from on the right wing. When people are talking about moving him yet, I was like, there's no reason to move this guy from where he is right now because he finds himself into goal scoring positions because he comes inside, and if he doesn't, he'll just go on the outside and cross it in. And he can do that. He can get his game off. And what they say about him in training is that he basically, like, these scenarios that he faces, he practices them. So going past Malacia, I've seen him go past, Estupiñán the same way. Same shimmy, shift is the same way. The distance from where the ball was to where he shifts the ball to is the same way. The same number of steps he takes to to do that move he does again. So it's like everything he does is so repeatable and so consistent that he's not going to have a problem getting this off every game. I think the next step for him is probably, when you look at Saka, Saka gets off a lot of actions in a game. I think he can go quiet for some periods in the game, but that's probably the only thing where I'm saying that he can increase that and, remain more active. I think Saka is very active, for example. Like, the game goes through Saka, the game doesn't go through Ethan right now. Apart from that, guys, the finished article. Like, I don't know what else can he add to his game. Like, he's got a final pass. He's got the in swinging cross. He's got the reverse pass. He can finish on his left. He can finish on his right. His shooting is ridiculous. In the next 2 years, he probably pick up like being good in the air, or some shit. Like, I don't understand. Like, there's not. I don't really see many more things to add to his games apart from increasing activity, increasing the repeated sprints, and making more runs off the ball. These are the 3 areas I can see improvement in. The rest is like it's already all there. Like, it's actually all there. His temperament for the game is mad. He doesn't get phased by the defender maybe getting. I think Malacia got stuck into him quite early on in the game. He's like, all right, cool. He just banged this goal, and then he controlled him from then on. So I think his temperament is quite good. It's not like you feel like he's going to force a decision or make a wrong decision. He is so level-headed and quite clinical in his decision-making in action. That is not normal, and you don't see that often. Typically, you see a player that goes through a period or a game where he does this really well, then the next game don't really do this well. Then, it's up and down, and you're looking for that consistency. We've seen it over 10 games with him now. He has the consistency. For me, it's stamina. I think fitness, the men's game, the repeated actions of the men's game are taxing on him, and he's still growing, and he's a young kid, and he could make some runs off the ball. I think that way he could find himself in a lot more scoring situations. He does make some runs, but he's not super active off the ball like that. But like, apart from that, like, the guy's finished article, man, and that is bonkers. Yeah, I mean, he's got 8 or 9 goals so far. Yeah, how many goals?
Eight goals and 1 assist in all comps so far this season. And when you factor in those minutes, it's that his goals to game and minutes ratio is very, very impressive as well. So, and I think to piggyback off your point, what I like that Ethan does, Ethan's not afraid to shoot, bro. This guy is not afraid to let the thing go. We had discussions in the chat before. People are like, oh, does Arteta prevent man from shooting? Does it look like he stops Ethan from shooting, bro? Ethan don't look like he's scared to shoot like one bit. And obviously it helps when you have his level of shooting technique, right? And he's able to your point, I think the reason both him and Miles made the seamless transition is because of their ability to create separation at men's level. It's all well and good doing it at youth level, but to be able to step up to senior football and continue to be able to get your game off, I think is what stands out, the top youth talents from the rest. You see some youth talents make the step up, but they can't get their game off because they're not able to compete physically. You see with him and Miles, they're never overawed physically, and that really bodes well. I do agree. I think intensity is probably something he can work on, and obviously we know it's expected. Making that step up isn't easy. So, and we see sometimes he cramps up, he gets tired. So you're going to have to manage Ethan but this is a 17-year-old. Let's not forget that we're talking about, right? So you have to manage that transition. Runs off the ball, I would like to see a bit more. I am interested now because I was probably more of the opinion that this is a midfielder, although I think I am slightly starting to shift now to more. I think this guy's a forward. Like, I think this guy's a forward. I think his ability to consistently get shots, and also because I spoke to what Joe Black was saying as well, and what they're about to do with Max Dowman next season, who is more in that sort of creator mold. I think you can afford to. I think Ethan, I'm starting to see more and more as a shooter. What I'm interested to see, even though I like him at right wing now, I am interested potentially to see, when Saka and Martinelli return after the international break, could we maybe try a little force 19 with Ethan and Martinelli and Saka down the sides? See how that goes. Even though I do like Ethan at right wing, I'll be totally honest with you, I really do like him at right wing. But obviously Martinelli and Saka returning is good, gives us more solutions, gives us more things to try out. But obviously, maybe I'm getting too carried away. Obviously, you've got to remember he's 17, and we'll still have to sit him down quite a bit as well, so we don't kill him. But it's hard not to get excited about a level of talent like that, and there's only so long you can hold them back, especially when you're in your first full breakout season and you're having impact at top level games. Man scored against City. He's now 2-2 in the Champions League. He's showing levels, bro. So it's very, very hard to put a lid on that level of talent, essentially.
This brother is a forward,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting a bit of like Aguero-ish Tevez vibe from the
This is
kid,
what I've been telling, man, fam. I've been saying this, fam.
It's like just I think the build and obviously the way that he's so strong on the ball, and the way that he finishes is actually just peak, man. It's too peak. So yeah, I might watch some Aguero comps tonight before I go to bed to see if I'm just jazzing. But you see that run that he did when he just kept shifting it and shifting it and shifting it, and then he had the shot. I'm convinced there's a goal that Aguero scored against United where he like just carried on doing the same thing, and then roofed it past De Gea on his right foot. And yeah, I might get a clip of that and share it, because I'm definitely seeing some Aguero vibes here. You listeners, let me know if you think I'm jazzing or not, man. But we can go into some listeners' questions and before we wrap up, and then we'll go from here. Yeah. So Yonko Abs, we kind of touched on this. He says, why do you think Odegaard was special in the second half of this game? I think the game opened up, really. Is there any particular reason? German since
go on.
You go, Sean.
No, I wasn't going to disagree with what you said. I think a lot more space, but I also think he just became what we said earlier. He was delaying a lot of stuff in his decision making. I think he was a lot more decisive in the second half, doing stuff a lot quicker. Obviously, having additional space to play and run into definitely helped. But for me, I think I agree with German when he said Odegaard is a rhythm player, and when he's in his flow, I think he's when he's at his best. When he tends to overthink things, it's not a good look for him. So he just looked a bit more natural in the second half. So and the quality and consistency of his actions improved as a result.
Yeah, fair play. The JG11, he says, would you keep Zinchenko if he only plays midfield?
I don't think Zinchenko's going to accept that. So,
Yeah.
And he won't just play midfield. So it is what it is.
Yeah, his time at the club is done. It's interesting now that he's getting the centre mid minutes. Would have liked to have seen him getting earlier. But yeah, I think bearing in mind, it looks like they're going to sign a 6 and an 8 in the summer. It's pretty much curtains for him. So because even if he stays, he's not going to play a lot. You see now his minutes have significantly diminished over the last 3-4 months. So it's not going to happen for him anymore.
And he still hasn't started in midfield. He's just been coming on.
Yeah, it's just been coming on. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play, man. Fair play. I think we need to just move on from players. I'd rather get a midfield specialist to the point that we were discussing at the top of the pod. Really, someone who I think can really do the final third stuff that we miss. So JK Muku, he says Calafiori and Marino front two. Anyone? I'm not gonna lie. Against some of these deeper blocks, Calafiori might have to run striker. The movement in behind, I think he's got better feet than Marino as well. And the finishing is slightly peak. The finishing is very slightly peak.
He was looking like Vieri up top, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Yeah, he's well, you can tell. Obviously, a lot of them say they were strikers when they were younger, but he's got a proper instinct for it. And he's a very composed finisher. I think that's his third goal for us, right? I think this season. So he definitely knows where the net is. So yeah, man. I like his movements up top. The fact that he was playing left back and he ended up in the striker's position, I don't mind it, my guy.
Yeah. Count Dracula, this one's for you, German. He says, the number of mid-table strikers banging in goals this season makes me wonder if we, brackets German Dan, overrated Kai Havertz's purple patch last season. Do you think this is the case?
No, Count Dracula. What happened last season is what happened last season. Trying to find justifications to downplay it is the work of a loser.
Hey.
I'm sorry, man.
This German guy, bro.
Hey, that's a loyal listener, you know. That's a loyal
You
listener.
should
Always
hold
sending
that.
questions.
Man been sending questions every week on my head top, man. I'm back now. Yeah, I'm back fighting again. They thought
Hey.
now. I was away. Oh yeah, German is cooked. Hell no. I was just in a different time zone, bro.
Yeah. He's got that Ghana and England flag there.
Yeah,
in his,
Eddie has got 2 goals
in
so
his
far
name.
this season, man. About mid-table strikers there, man. Is it 4 goals? Or were you showing me?
No,
I think he's got 2 in the cups, 1 in the league, innit? 1 in the league.
Tell my man to come and take his countryman with him and get Partey the hell out of here, bro.
Yeah, for real, brother. For real.
Wait, you trying to get rid for real?
Oh yeah, bro. If I could do it myself, I would, brother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he got 3 goals. Fair play, Eddie. 3 and 22, I think it is.
Yeah. So Tola M91, he says, how are we going to embarrass ourselves at Old Trafford on Sunday? I reckon we let that bum Hoyland, who hasn't scored in forever, get a brace.
Bro, if we let
Get
that brother
real,
score,
man.
I'm gonna be
Get
so
real.
angry.
I'm sorry. That guy ain't scoring, man. That guy ain't scoring. He's not scoring.
They better not let that brother score.
Saliba and Gabriel ain't on that, man. They're not on that. Like, let's be guided. This is the thing. I just feel if we pass the ball quickly, we can blam United, man. I'm sorry. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. I just need them to have intensity and speed of play. We can beat them, man.
And take their shots and the shoot.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried about that, and I don't see us losing that personally. But yeah. That's a 4:30 Sunday. All eyes on me. Yeah, we'll definitely be doing a post-match for that game, regardless of the result. Steiner Swag, he says, favorite belt to ask special.
God, what made you go with that verse, brother? God damn!
I know this is Adeyemi's guy, innit?
Yeah.
Flipping hell, man.
Adeyemi's burner account, bro.
I've been angling for that Emirates move for time.
Trust me.
Ridiculous. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. The 5-1 City was nice, man. That was real nice.
Yeah, that was
actually 5-0 Chelsea last season. I was floating, bro.
Yeah. And the fact that it was a Havertz brace on their head tops as well. I know that one was stinging, bro.
Celebrated, yeah.
Yeah. When I was at uni, you know, we did the back-to-back Spurs 5-2s.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
That was lovely, man. That was lovely. Okay, JNRC 2063 says, "Is it coming home?"
No.
Yeah, let's be easy, man.
Let's be easy, man. But yeah, we can enjoy this.
Oh, you might not believe, huh?
No,
No.
I don't.
Listen,
I'm along for the ride, though.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the ride. If we get past one of the Madrids, hey, listen, bro, you might get me back on
Anything
side.
can happen, man. That's the thing.
I got my chopsticks here, man. Okay, you guys see them. I got my chopsticks here, man. Put some hopium in that sushi, bro. I'll eat it.
Listen, let me tell you this, yeah. Let me tell you this. Saka needs to come out the Bernabeu, yeah, like the Undertaker. Yeah,
bro.
he needs to come back like the Undertaker. If I see Saka lining up at the Bernabeu, anything's possible, my guy.
Yeah, trust
Anything.
me, trust me,
Anything is possible.
bro. A Saka goal on Vinny's head top. Ah, my God, hey, bro.
Yeah.
You will not know because Dems, my guy.
Right.
I will crash it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That
see
tax
that?
return is gonna look sweet.
Yeah, bro.
Mm. Yeah, so a couple more questions here, some good ones actually. What are your top 3 wins under Arteta, and or let's just do under Arteta, ranked in terms of how the endorphins hit? Oof. Bournemouth has to be there.
Oh
Bournemouth
my God,
has
sorry,
to
how
be
can I
there.
forget? Sorry, Bournemouth is number 1. I'm sorry. That Reece Nelson thing, I don't know if I will ever levitate the way I did that day. Like legit. That's got to be number 1. Sorry, I can't believe I forgot that one.
I
That
can't
was
lie.
right up there.
I did leave Earth when we beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final as well. I left Earth.
Do you know what it is? I hear
Crazy.
it, but because it was COVID, yeah, it didn't. I think if fans were there in the stadium that day, hey, yeah, I would have levitated.
Would have been
But
special.
yeah, I think the Bournemouth one for me will be number 1.
You know the one as well that I've just from that
No,
same
another
season.
one from that same season. Yeah, Aston Villa 2, Arsenal 4. That one as well. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, that
Do
was
you
lit.
remember? Yeah,
That was lit.
Yeah, that one was
That
lit.
was lit.
That one was lit.
Crazy.
Same season as well. I was
there's
even
quite
going
a
to
few.
say, I was going to say the 3-2 against
Liverpool.
United.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
against
Oh my God,
United.
United, Eddie. I forgot.
Eddie
Yeah, that's
last
another
minute,
one.
yeah.
Eddie last minute. Yeah,
Eddie
I
last
remember.
minute, yeah.
That was
Do you know what?
Fam,
That 22-23 season, we had loads of we had loads of ones that season.
that season was full of endorphins, man. Full of endorphins. Yeah, I loved.
Oh no! Do you remember as well that one as well? We went away to Tottenham and we won 2-0. We just cleaned them out. Like if you remember that first half performance, they did not touch the ball like on Conte's head top. Remember they were trying to attack Ramsdale at the end of the game, bro, because they were so vexed, bro.
Yeah, Richarlison doing nonsense.
Do you know what? That season probably alone has served up hella classics.
Yeah, that was from Kaysen Sant. Shout out him.
Good question.
Branch Dingus, he says, where does Ricky rank in finishes at the club? Low key, he scored some good goals, and even the shot that hit the post against Forest was some good play.
At worst, he's top 5, bro. At worst, bro. At worst, he low key he might even be top 3, bro.
I'm saying Ethan is a better finisher.
Yes, yeah, Ethan's right up there. I'd say Ethan, Saka, and Calla, bro. They might be the guys, bro.
These goals are peak, you know. The goals are peak.
The finish against City was like ridiculous.
Ethan,
bro, that's
crazy.
A nuts goal, you know.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Nuts.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. To be fair, he's only scored difficult finishes.
That's it. Yeah, Ethan's not missing chances that you think, oh, do you know what I mean? You should have bagged that. More time, it's like, bro, what you're doing is outrageous, bro. This
kid is cracked, man. I keep saying, who the hell is this kid?
Yeah.
He can't be no 17-year-old, man. This is a grown ass KGB soldier, man.
Yeah, so another one in Calafiori from J9OB. He says, is Calafiori an attacking 8 masquerading as a centre back / left back? Yeah, he might be, you know.
False fullback.
It's interesting though, because clearly our left back in particular gets into goal scoring situations the same as Mouse. And
against City, yeah,
it's an interesting conversation, because you have people that are very opposed to left backs being put into these situations and scenarios. But really, if you get guys that can maximize in those scenarios and get them in those scenarios, they're very effective. If you do it with others that don't work, cool. It's not effective. But
it's been the case even from last season, I think, when Tomiyasu played left back. He had some big impact in a couple of games as well. You know, Sevilla.
Big chances. from left back.
Yeah. Also the City game that we won at the
Tommy
Emirates,
Asu
you know,
set
it's
up
the
the winner
ball,
for
the ball
Martinelli.
to Tommy, and then I
Yeah.
think final game of the season, Tommy comes and scores
Against Everton,
to equalize against Everton
Yeah.
as well. You know, so
Yeah.
it is a pattern that we're seeing that the guy who gets the freest role is probably the inverted left back in this system. You know, it just depends on how they interpret it. I'm not gonna lie though, I'm not opposed to chucking Calla up top.
When we're chasing
in
a game,
some of these games.
Bro.
Not opposed to
Look
it,
at Tony on our books.
bro. Fabio Grosso, you know the
Yeah.
ones.
I know that Grosso one's still pain in German, bro.
I knew when as Punk made that reference, man. It's fine. I got my World Cup and User lifted it as well.
What's it? Asser Lee, he says, why is Yamal over Saka so accepted? Output, Saka is clear. Plus, is he being triple teamed like Saka regularly or kicked?
I
don't
think
watch every Yamal game, but he looks like an exceptional talent. I think that's why.
It's very hard to argue just against what you're watching. Like I saw, for example, I watched Barcelona against Real Sociedad at the weekend. Yeah, like I don't watch them too often, but he did not get a goal. He did not get an assist, but he was the best player on the pitch. Like it's one of those ones. It's hard to quantify. Like he didn't have any statistical output, but anybody watching that game would have told you, alongside Pedri, like they dominated that game. I do agree though that he needs to do it over a consistent level of time. Obviously, I know people say, well, he's only been doing it as long as he's been there, which is true. But I still need, for me to say like, and if I'm being objectively honest and taking myself back, he's more naturally talented than Saka. I'm not gonna sit back and argue that. But again, I'm not gonna disrespect Saka because Saka has been doing it for such a length and period of time that I think for me to start putting people above him like immediately, I'm not going to do that. So, but.
It's an interesting one because I think the Euros had a big impact. He's very good in the Euros, but he's
and the fact he did it as a 16-year-old as well. To be fair, that level of impact at 16.
Yeah, sure, but he's coming to if you compare it to Ethan, say you compare it to Ethan, Ethan has come in this season. He's mashing work already. Like he's playing like a first team player. So if you then go this time next year and Ethan hasn't stopped mashing work, are people going to say he's a world-class player? And they're not going to do that. They're going to put the same restrictions and same questions they put in front of
that
Saka,
they did on Saka,
onto Ethan, but they're not doing that for Jamal. They're not doing that for Jamal, and I don't think it's necessary. You should be doing that, but I'm just calling it out because I know this time next year people are not going to tell me Nwaneri is certified world class or top 3 or top 5 or whatever in the world. They would say he's a young player, he's learning. With Jamal, that people are not hesitating to do that, and I think I don't hesitate to do it. I think his talent level looks clear, but there is a level of consistency that he also has to hit in order to continue staying in these conversations, right? Like I think, and people say it's unfair. He's only come through 18 months ago. That's not my fault. Like it's not my fault. Saka's been mashing work for 4 years. That's the fact. So you can say he's more talented or he's better right now, but he hasn't matched Saka's consistency until he has done 4 years in a row. He's not matched that kind of level of consistency of performances, and I think he will hit that, but you can't say he's got it when he hasn't done it yet. So that's some of the conversation, right?
My thing is like I just can't watch Yamal and deny him. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that's just what it comes down to. That's just what it comes down to. And I think fundamentally, I felt the same way when I was watching Saka that I can't deny this kid as well. But yeah, when I watch Yamal, the kid is different with it, man. He's just different. So you have to just, as much as you want to defend your players and this and the other, sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, yeah, this kid looks peak. He just looks peak. And that's just it.
I think he's better than Salah, man. I think Mbappe best player in the world after that Yamal for me right now. So, and that's not stats based.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair. Yeah, final question from Elliot online. He says, can we huddle up and not allow the dialogue of Arsenal having had a disaster season to continue? We are second, and guys like Disu and Co have allowed the narratives to perpetuate when United, Spurs, City and Villa have had far worse seasons. For me, it's all relative, man. I'm sorry, it's all relative. Like, I will never look at an Aston Villa season or even a Spurs season and look at our season in the same way. Like, Aston Villa being 9th or wherever they are, I couldn't care less. Spurs being 14th, it's Spurs. Guys, United, I hear that one because they're a massive club for me. And City, they're allowed an off year off the back of winning 4 in a row, winning the Champions League, etc., winning a treble, all of this, right? Like, that's why I think the context of all of these teams is slightly different. For me, I think the season has been a disaster, personally. Whether that's in our control, whether that's out of our control.
Season ain't done yet, brother. Chill out.
It's not done. It's not done. But so far, let me say that, so far, right? Champions League, we might still go on a deep run to maybe rectify it. Players coming back, this, that, and the other. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I don't think fans should be afraid of criticizing stuff that you just don't feel is right. Do you get what I mean? Like, if I came to you and said we're going to be 13 points behind Liverpool in March, in August, or when the transfer window closed, you would say that is crazy. That's a disaster. Do you get what I'm saying? So the fact that it's transpired in this way, bro, we just have to hold that, man. I'm sorry. That's just, it just is what it is from my perspective. And I don't feel any way about saying that. The fact that these teams are also having disastrous seasons, fam, go flog them as well. But it doesn't take away from, how you review our season either. I'm sorry.
I do think there's context is important with these things. The injury, I think people try to downplay it, which I think is mad. The injury crisis is one of the big reasons why we're so far behind. Overall, our league campaign has definitely been disastrous. We shouldn't be this far behind. And that has to do with injuries as well. But, you can definitely call that disastrous. I wouldn't call the whole season disastrous yet because we're still in it with the Champions League. But if we're out of that as well, then, we are. It looks like we're not going to be bringing any silverware home. So that's the facts of the realities. I think what we are experiencing as Arsenal fans is that, people will say Arsenal fans have main character syndrome. Bro, these guys, when they don't talk about the team, they talk about Arsenal. That's the second team they talk about. So people would say, oh, yeah, Arsenal fans think that everything's about them. You guys talk about us all the time. I go on group shows, people don't support Arsenal, talking about Arsenal's tactical layers. And, is this TG? What the hell are you guys talking about in here? You shouldn't even be talking this amount. I don't ever speak in depth about Spurs. I don't give a shit about Spurs, apart from when they play, and I can hate on them playing. But doing deep analysis of Arsenal, doing deep analysis of our transfers, and think about, as rival fans, how much they in the know are about Arsenal. I'm way less in the know about those rival teams and what they got going on.
Bro, I got man telling us what Mertesacker and the academy coaches are doing and saying and all of this. Bro, I don't even know who the head of United's academy is.
Bro, man,
couldn't tell
on
you that for another team.
Man are on other podcasts doing 10-minute sections about Max Dalman, bro.
Crazy,
brother. It is insane. Yeah. But anyway, Arsenal are not a big club in it. We're not a big club, but somehow people seem to find a lot of time to talk about Arsenal, bro.
We are massive, Sean. We are massive.
Oh, we know, brother. We know.
Anyways, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for joining me. Arsenal 7-1 winners over PSV. Next game, Ruben Amorim's Man United. Hopefully, we save some goals for them at Old Trafford. So yeah, we'll catch you guys after that with the post match. But otherwise, peace. Enjoy your week, man.
Safe.
Yo, when I spit bars in a raid, man, I go hard like Santan.